My recent GPS art video was a news story in multiple publications and it aired on global news. Here's how that went down. You knew it. You knew this video was coming, and if you didn't, you should have, because every time that one of my videos gets more attention than just outside my YouTube audience, I make another video telling the story of how that first video got more views or whatever. So here we are again in this situation. And I'm here to tell the story about how my video made it on TV. I made a video in which I documented the process of how I made GPS art. And at the same time, it was kind of a commentary on running during the winter in Canada. The GPS artwork that I created was the logo of my favorite sports team, the Toronto Blue Jays. And the video, I wouldn't say that it was my best work. The hardest part was actually planning out the route. That took forever. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of rushed the editing a bit, and I had to shoot some extra scenes of me running, and those bonus shots I filmed on the foggiest day of winter, and all the other running shots were on the clearest day of winter. But so far nobody has complained, so that's good. So maybe not my greatest execution of a video, but the idea of making GPS art was enough to capture the attention of a few key people on Reddit. I shared the video to Reddit, to r/Waterloo. Since the run was in Waterloo, I thought people on that subreddit might be interested. And a couple people took notice and messaged me about it. One of them was my man Ian Hunter. He messaged me and he said that he was interested in possibly writing an article about how I did this run. And he asked if I'd be willing to do an interview. Also, a little bit later, somebody else messaged me on Reddit and they said they worked at CTV and they wondered if they could pitch this as something to be on CTV News. I said sure. This, however, didn't pan out, but the same person said they also had a contact at BlogTO and they were going to forward this video to them, and I did end up hearing from BlogTO. I ended up doing phone interviews both with Ian Hunter and the person from BlogTO, and the next day, both of them wrote an article about how I ran this route in Waterloo and made GPS art of the Blue Jays logo. So my video got a nice little boost from these two articles, but the spreading of this news story was not over just yet. I later found an article on runningmagazine.ca that somebody had just written based on the article they read on BlogTO, plus watching the video, and then a couple days later, I found my article on this Chinese running site, wrote an article based on the runningmagazine.ca article. So it got passed around. My video was a news story on a bunch of different articles, but the pièce de résistance was, of course, when somebody from Global News messaged me, said they saw the article on BlogTO and wondered if they could do a news story. So I got on the phone with this person and they wondered if I would be willing to do an in-person interview somewhere along the route of my run. I said, sure, like you're coming all the way to Waterloo? And then he responded, oh, you're in Waterloo. And okay, to be fair, the Blue Jays are from Toronto and BlogTO also from Toronto, but there would have been a few clues that could have indicated that I was from Waterloo. When I took a look at my hometown of Waterloo in Waterloo, after printing off a map of Waterloo, I made a breakthrough. Never mind, doesn't matter. We got that little misunderstanding ironed out, and so it went from being an in-person interview to a Zoom interview, which was a little less cool, but still cool. I was going to be on TV. So I did the Zoom interview, which went sort of okay, but got off to a rough start. I was a little bit nervous and I was a little caught off guard because the person interviewing me wasn't on camera, which I wasn't expecting. And they told me to just say my name, say what I do, and then tell the story. And I was expecting more of a question and answer. I was expecting them to ask me questions and kind of guide me through the interview. So I was a little caught off guard at first, and actually I froze because I said my name and then I was just about to start my story, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I was supposed to say what I do too. And I don't know, I said nothing. Oh yeah, and my occupation. Can I start over? He gave me the chance to start over. I recovered. I got through the story. I think it sort of went all right. Maybe it was a little shaky. It felt weird, like I was just talking to a screen. But I did end up recovering, and I told my story. They didn't actually use any of the footage from the Zoom interview. I'm going to assume that they had to cut it for sake of time and not some other reason, like perhaps that my face is too ugly for TV or that I completely botched the interview. Probably wasn't because of that. I'm sure they just had to cut it for sake of time. But anyway, parts of my YouTube video did make it to air on Global News as what they call a kicker, which is a little feel-good story at the very end of a news segment. Apparently they don't post kickers online. I've looked everywhere for this clip on globalnews.ca and I cannot find it. Luckily though, I did record part of it with my camera when I watched it live, so I can show that to you. Without further ado, here is my debut performance on television.
Yeah, Ricky Martin's a graphic designer from Waterloo who mapped the Blue Jays logo with his GPS tracker.
And he says recreating the beak and the maple leaf proved to be a challenge.
Ricky says he'll work on other Toronto sports logos in the weeks and the months ahead. Good for him.
And for the record, not that Ricky Martin.
Right. And we'll see Tracy tonight at 11 o'clock. Thank you for joining us tonight on Global.
See you later.
Oh, that was it. So what's it like to be famous, you ask?
Well, it's like this, see? I'd like to think that I'm the same person I was before all the fame, see?
No, I mean, so my video got a few more views than it would have otherwise, but nothing crazy happened. It was kind of interesting, though, to be the subject of a news story like this. See, nobody knows the story of the man who made the Blue Jays logo using GPS art better than me. I was there. I created the art. I made the video. When I read the story from other people's perspective, I noticed like parts that were slightly different or like different than I would have described them. For example, the TV announcer said, "Ricky says he'll work on other Toronto sports logos in the weeks and months ahead." When in reality, I said that I didn't have any definite plans to do more of these, but if I would, it might be fun to do more Toronto sports teams. So it's sort of the same thing, but not quite. And then there was this paragraph from one of the articles that was just completely wrong. He has printed off several images of his successful art run, which now hang on the wall in his home. Now, if whoever wrote this article would have watched to the very end of the video, they would have known that that was just not true. But I mean, it's kind of funny. I just added these digitally. I didn't actually print out all that. You knew that though, right? Yeah, you knew that. So I guess the takeaway from all of this is always, always watch to the very end of the video. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll leave links down below to all the different articles that featured this story in case you're interested in reading them. And yeah, I will see you on the next video.
Like the man said, you should always watch to the end of the video, see? Because you never know when you might miss something, see?